All right, so she's putting blame on Trump, right? All right, first of all, people, I remember Joe Arpaio. He came out and he said that the documents that he supplied was fraudulent. We don't even know where this man was born. Was he born in Washington State, Hawaii, Kenya, or Indonesia? Okay? Because apparently he has, like, let's see, 3 dads, supposedly. And not only that, let me think here. His grandfather was a CIA junkie. His mission, according to what I understand, he went down to Hawaii to find these quote-unquote communists. Okay? His mother is white and his father is black. So this is the black on white genetic stuff that you're playing with. But anyways, let's get down to this. I remember when there was one man. I can't remember who he was, but he stood up, and this is before Joe Arpaio started looking at the documents. There was one gentleman that stood up in court and said, this man's paperwork is fraudulent. Then it went to Joe Arpaio. And then after Joe Arpaio got on national news, he said the stuff is all, graphic design voodoo math, right? So this is fraudulent. Then after he announced that, I remember Mr. Trump, he heard about this. Okay? He says, that's why I'm going to run for president. It's because of Joe Arpaio, who got on national TV and said that stuff is all fake. That's why Donald Trump, because I remember the interview, he says that, I'm going to run for president. So I think that was the kicker for him to run for president. It's because of these guys were, voodooing the numbers. Okay? Rubber stamping it through. Okay? You have to go back and remember how this all occurs. Now, she came out and she said she'll never forgive him for the so-called birther conspiracy theory. It's not him, people. You have to put your thinking caps on. He's not the original source. It was one man, an individual citizen of the United States of America, who stood up before court and says the documents were faked. Then once he made the announcement, the government shut him down, the judge. Then it went over to Joe Arpaio. Okay, you have to remember this stuff, people. It's baby steps. It's because a U.S. citizen stood up and said, hey, everybody, something's really wrong. It wasn't Trump. So for her to come out and say it was Trump's fault is wrong. Okay? She's out there doing the hustle on a book sale. Do you understand this? I'm jogging your memory, people. Okay? Joe Arpaio was the only sheriff that we have in this state of Arizona that was doing his job. Okay? Obama came down here for his check and Jan Brewer gave it to him and said, get out of my state. Okay? We have a real immigration problem. She kept, harping on the fact that we have a real problem down here. And he blew us off. There's a famous photo of Jan Brewer pointing their finger at him. Anyways, I'm getting off track here. The way this occurred, people, was one gentleman. He said, and he got the stuff in front of a judge, and he said, he is not a naturalized citizen. Then after that, he was shut up. The judge shut him down. I can't think of who he was. Then It went to Joe Arpaio because there was a bunch of citizens that were very, very, very... Once this man was shut down, it went underground. There was a bunch of citizens that went to Joe Arpaio's office and said, we are really concerned about this. Then it was Joe Arpaio that took it upon himself to do the investigation free of charge. Okay? And then once he documented and went on the national news and said all this stuff is funky, Mr. Trump went on the air and said, I am running for president. So let's get the story straight, people. Okay? That has nothing to do with threatening her life. It has to do with you have a secret black government pushing fake shit through. When there's thousands of us that go by the book, like Joe Arpaio, okay, that follow the law, we do things that are in order to get things done. Okay? This is a CIA red doper baby problem. Okay? It's not Trump. Let's get the story straight, people. Mr. Trump said when he saw Mr. Arpaio say, you know what, we got some problems here. Okay, and then he was shut down. He kind of washed his hands off of it. He did his best he could because there was a bunch of citizens that came into his office and said, we are really concerned about this. That's how this is how it accumulates, people. This is how it festers into a big fat zit. And then blame is put upon someone else. This is bullshit. The blame is the CIA, people. They're doing the shakedown. So let's go back in time and figure out how this all occurred. Okay? Because I was here, I know, I saw this man, it was in the news briefly, and like I said, one man's voice went in front of a judge and said there's something wrong with his birth certificate. Then the judge told him to shut up and get out of his courtroom. So it was this one man that got a bunch of citizens together and says, we have to take this, we have to show the world the truth. So these citizens went to Joe Arpaio and said, we would like for you to investigate this. And Joe Arpaio said, fine. He took the time to do it. And then that's when Mr. Trump said on TV, I'm going to run for presidency. Because he saw the insanity. Okay? That's how this whole shit accumulates, people. And now she's selling a story. I'm telling you what the backstory is. I'm jogging your memory. Okay? History, history, history. Okay? You know, did you see his Senate record? You know what he wrote on his Senate record? Present. He didn't do anything. He wrote present. So, you know, for her to say that it's Mr. Trump's fault, no, sir. Where was Obama born? Washington State. We got a choice. Washington State, Hawaii, Kenya, or Indonesia. Because his mom remarried 2 men. She married some dude from Kenya so that the CIA can cover their tracks. And then she divorced him or something happened there. And then she moved to Indonesia. He got his education in Indonesia. And then they moved him back to Hawaii, back to his grandparents who are involved in banking. Ding, 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 ding. All right. So, you know, this This is how it is, people, man. You know, and he did deplete the military. He did. He cut it costs. Okay? I don't know exactly, but I do remember in the headlines that he did cut the military down in half or something. All right? Oh, yeah, and he was attacking the coal mines. And then Solyndra out in California, that was a solar energy. That went belly up. So, I mean, yeah. There's a lot of shake and bake going on here. Anyways. I am pointing this out to you because I remember the whole birther thing, how it occurred during his administration. It was one individual soul that stood up before a court and said there's something fishy about his documents. Okay? Then this person organized a little posse, went to Mr. Arapaio's office, kindly knocked on the door and says, we are concerned about this. Mr. Arapaio then took it out of his time and $0 to figure it out. And he showed you what he came up with, what the results were. Then after Mr. Arapaio, Mr. Trump came on the air and said, hey, I'm going to run for president because there's some shake and bacon going on. He's a businessman. Okay? And when you do shake and bake and you go behind closed doors, it upsets businesses. Okay? Anyways, my 2 cents of the whole thing.